We're back in the port of Vancouver. What a gorgeous day today. And my friend Ernie Crey. Good to see you again, Ernie.
Beautiful day. Good to see you.
Well, thank you. We are in this industrial part of the city with the big cranes behind us and cruise ships and a lot of activity. There's so many things I want to talk to you about, but let's start by talking about your new political organization.
The place I want to get to is where our people are actively involved, working for companies and corporations, creating our own companies and corporations, and for heaven's sakes, getting elected to responsible, important positions where policies are made, like the provincial and federal governments.
You know, I love pointing out that on the 3-person National Energy Board panel that decided the Northern Gateway Pipeline, one of the 3 panelists was an Aboriginal man who lives on reserve. And to me, I mean, it's like, and we talked about this before, if a young Aboriginal person wants to make a difference, you can be outside shaking a fist and protesting, or you could be inside on the Blue Ribbon panel. And I mean, I have nothing against any Indian band or any group wanting to drive a really hard bargain. Absolutely. That's capitalism. Yep. To me, the hope for goal is that the answer is yes in the end. I know there's some people who don't want to deal on any terms. Can I ask you a question? Are you working towards a future where Aboriginals have high stations in oil companies, in pipeline companies, that they're running these things?
Absolutely. You know, Aboriginal people have to be involved in the broader society.
Is there any reason why an Indian shouldn't be running a pipeline company?
There isn't. We have a lot of talented executive class individuals, people in Canada who are, today as we stand here and speak, underemployed, very talented people.
How do people respond if an Indian band does a deal with a big company?
Well, there is some of that naysaying and that criticism in the community, but you know, Ezra, when you look out there, you realize that if you add up all the Indians in Canada, there's nearly 900,000, maybe 1 million of us in Canada, in some 600 or more First Nations or Indian bands, and all the people that are out on the streets protesting or doing blockades and the like. Perhaps sometimes those things are called for, but by and large, those people are a fraction of 1%. The rest of the Indians or Aboriginal peoples in this country are looking for part of the good life. They want the jobs. They want the senior jobs. They want to participate with other Canadians in the cultural and political and social life of this great nation. That's where they're at.
You've been generous with your time, Ernie. I always love talking with you because you're hard to pin down. You're hard to pigeonhole because you have a foot in different worlds, politically, ideologically, geographically. Do you think things are getting better, or do you think things are getting worse?
I think for the short term, things have gotten worse for some Aboriginal people in some circumstances. For example, the downtown east side. But when I scan around and look at other communities and places in Canada, I see Aboriginal people employed and involved in places that when I was a young social worker, I think at one point I was the youngest social worker in British Columbia. I see Aboriginal people in places that I wouldn't have even dreamed they'd be there one day. And they're there in their hundreds. They're in these office towers. They're some of the best lawyers in British Columbia, in this town. They're teachers here at the local universities. They're scientists. They're architects. They're really everywhere. And time marches on, and we have to join these people in their success. And it's not a sellout, as some people would or want Aboriginal people generally to believe. And guess what? Most Aboriginal people don't think those people are sellouts.
Ernie, it's good to talk with you. I hope we keep in touch.
All right. You're welcome.
Cheers.